Let's start with the debate, the vice presidential debate last night. First of all, your initial thoughts on kind of how that went and what you remember.
My initial thoughts are what the last question was all about is what people are going to remember, because that really was about our values and about January 6th. And it obviously was a tough one for Senator Vance, because he really had to choose between what was important for the country, especially going forward, and his loyalty to Donald Trump. And I don't think his response really met the challenge of the times.
Overall, that debate was pretty darn calm, though, wouldn't you say?
Oh, no,
considering...
no question about it. There are really key issues, though, that are going to linger. For example, I thought Senator Vance's point about how Donald Trump had saved health care was just pretty much preposterous, because Donald Trump tried to tank health care time after time. But yeah, certainly the fact that the issues got that kind of visibility and that kind of airing was a good thing.
Yeah, each candidate basically agreeing with the other 5, 6, 7, 8 times during the debate.
Well, and especially on the kind of concerns for family and what public service is supposed to be all about. That's welcome.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about the Postal Service and the issues here in the state of Oregon. What is it that you're asking for?
I want an end to mail madness. And the fact is, we've got this radical restructuring going on, this consolidation, and mail is just flying from one corner to another in various directions other than the place it was intended. And it's clear it's not serving communities, it's not serving the workforce. I don't think the Board of Governors, the people who are supposed to be overseeing the Postal Service, are doing their job, and it's really DeJoy's debacle. He is the Postmaster General.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time that the Postal Service did not complain annually about a lack of funding, a lack of staffing, and the federal government not giving it what it needs to do its job. So how do you mesh that?
I was asked today about the DeJoy 10-year plan. And I said, well, come to Central Oregon or Southern Oregon or, my community in Southeast Portland, and they'll say, you want a 10-year plan? How about fixing up the next 10 days? Because we have had difficulty. We have seniors who are having problems getting their medications, veterans who are concerned. This is enormously important to small business, because if small business can't get their mail, we are a small business state, and they lose out on opportunities. Their costs go up. I mean, these are the kinds of issues that we need a resolution of now, not in some DeJoy 10-year plan.
You can't take money from a federal agency and expect it to perform, though, as well as it has in the past. And that's the complaint of USPS, is it not?
Well, there's no question that they've cut the funds, but they've done it especially in a destructive way. This consolidation just defies common sense. To be, in Medford, for example, and trying to send a note 100 miles away, and it bounces from various places and ends up going 300 or 400 miles before it gets to its intended place.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the Middle East right now. Obviously, things have intensified over the last couple of days with Iran launching its 150, 160 missiles at Israel. Israel is saying it will retaliate. President Biden coming out today and saying that you do what you do, but don't you dare attack their nuclear program. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I condemn Iran's aggression. I support Israel's right to defend itself, and particularly our personnel in the region. And this is obviously a very ominous kind of time, because this has mushroomed in a dramatic way. And I hope that we can continue to ensure that Iran is not able to exercise the kind of power that it hopes in the nuclear area. We're going to defend our country. We're going to defend our people. Israel has a right to defend itself, and I want to see Joe Biden, before he leaves office, still make progress on the central reforms, which are to ensure we get the hostages out, that we can help in Gaza and have a two-state solution get down the road.
Clearly, it doesn't seem as if there's any love lost between Netanyahu and President Biden these days. Netanyahu doing exactly what he wants to do, not so much listening the way maybe he did in the past to the United States and its effort to bring an end or a resolution to all of this. It seems as if, and I'm asking you to respond to the critics of Israel, that they're the ones that are edging this up every single day. That as long as this thing continues to go, it is Israel that is pushing this thing forward, not Hamas, not Hezbollah, not Iran.
Well, remember what happened October 7th. I mean, Israel has never been part of anything like that. The raping and killing of innocent people. And, the reality is we're going to have to find a long-term solution. Something that works for the Jewish mom and a Palestinian mom. I'm chairman of the Senate Finance Committee. Trade and business has a role to play down the road when we have been able to move beyond the brutality that we're seeing now, and I'm going to continue to pursue that.
Is a two-state solution the solution?
It's certainly a part of it because there are opportunities in the Middle East for commerce that could really cause relationships to build in a very constructive way. And it's certainly not going to be something you're going to have in the next 15 minutes, but it's part of the long-term solution.
When do you see the tables turning in the war between Ukraine and Russia?
Well, Putin obviously has this objective to take every bit of land everywhere he can get his hands on it. So Zelensky has made it clear that this fight is going to continue to be one he's going to prosecute. And my parents fled the Nazis in the 30s. Not all got out. My dad was one of the famous Ritchie boys, the Jewish kids that came to the United States, part of our army, wrote the propaganda pamphlets we dropped on Hitler. And we know what dictators are all about. And that's what Putin's about, and that's why we have to take him on and defeat him.
Where does your support begin and end when it comes to arms to Ukraine?
I don't look at it that way. I review each and every proposal. There clearly needs to be better oversight of the weapons that are delivered, but I feel very strongly that it's in the interest of our country to defeat Putin and ensure that there is an independent Ukraine.
Will there be that big a difference between a Kamala Harris administration and a second Donald Trump administration when it comes to that support for Ukraine?
Well, we always wonder if Donald Trump is going to try a go-it-alone strategy or if he's going to accept the judgment I have, and would be the judgment of a Harris administration, that we're stronger when we have allies. Donald Trump so often has made the case that he'll go it alone and he'll be able to get everything accomplished. I don't find that a very good argument.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Supreme Court for a moment, because you were talking about reform, pretty radical reform for the Supreme Court.
Well,
Tell me about that.
it's not really that radical.
Okay.
I mean, part of it stems from some of the problems we've seen. We've got something called the shadow docket, for example, where the court can make decisions without anybody's real name on it. So, what I've proposed is over 12 years, not 12 minutes, over 12 years, you could have 6 new judges. And in effect, each term there would be 2 new judges. Now, if you look, for example, at our society over 100 years ago, we were much smaller and we had the same number of judges. And we've got to ensure that the people's business can be met in a timely way, and there's more accuracy and transparency and accountability.
Yeah. At the end of those 3 presidential terms, we have
a more balanced Supreme Court.
Yeah. If you can, talk with me a little bit about a story we worked on pretty extensively, and that was just outside of Prineville in the Knife River facility, the mining facility, and the tainted groundwater that has resulted since that facility came of age. No one's proved that it's their fault, certainly, but they've been dealing with this for 3 years. It could be another 3 years before the state testing, thanks to some federal funding perhaps, ever even happens for them. What are your thoughts on what these folks have been through and where we need to be going now?
These folks have been through hell, and we have got to stay at it until they get clean drinking water. The federal law that exists today is pretty restrictive in terms of what it can directly provide, but I and Senator Merkley are working to make sure that there's better testing, better information, and more accountability from government.
Private wells are just that. They're private, Senator, and there's a reason for that. There's no appetite for people to invite government in to check their wells and force them to do things to those wells. Why is it that we're giving attention to a subject like this when these are private wells?
Because there's a public interest in ensuring that people are able to drink water and not get sick. That is a significant public interest.
Yeah. Do you believe that it is the mining facility that is responsible for this?
I believe that there still is testing to be done in order to answer that question objectively.
How quickly should that testing be done?
Should have been done yesterday, and I'm pushing hard to get it done quickly.
Yeah. Do you have a sense of a timetable for these folks if they ask?
As I say, I've been out for town hall meetings and been following up the concerns that the community has, and this is long overdue, and we're just going to push as hard as we can, as aggressively as we can, so they get the answers and the remedies.
Okay. Your turn. What do you want to talk about?
I just appreciate being here. You know,
Right. We appreciate you being here as well.
Have local TV. My dad was a journalist.
Oh, nice.
I grew up in a journalist's house, and talking about real issues, whether it be healthcare or politics or foreign policy, I think is a real benefit to the community, and I appreciate you all doing it.
Yeah,
Let's do it
bet.
again.
You bet. Thank you, Senator.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate your time.